Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Notes from Chicago. Today, we are doing something special. It's the last episode of the year. It's before we take a little break because we deserve it. And this is the person we have as a guest slash my co-host today, who is always with me in these podcasts, but who's never on camera or you never hear her voice. It's my producer, Tanisha Blakely.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Love to see your face on camera. I wanted to talk for a minute about how we met and how we met, and also how I roped you into this this art project, this Chicago Positivity Project. So Tanisha and I met, oh boy, more than 15 years ago. When we lived in New York, and we were both working for Nickelodeon. Times Square, baby. I was pooped on once on the way to work into that office by a pigeon, not a person. Anyway, so I moved back to Chicago in 2009. At some point, Tanisha also came back, not moved back, but she went to college here. Yeah, when did you move back?
I went to high school here too. So I moved back to Chicago in 2015. So I was in New York for 11 years. But I left in 2004. So I went to Columbia College, worked a little bit, and then headed off to New York to be a journalist. And then I got into tech. So...
Same story.
Right. Same story for I think that's what we bonded over.
Yes.
We were journalists turned tech people.
That's right. Journalism refugees, as I now say.
Yes.
But yeah, so maybe about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months ago, I reached out to Tanisha to have coffee and was peppering her with questions about how to do this, because after she came back, or sometime after she came back, she also started a return to production, and producing, and for some folks working on podcasts. And I was asking her, how do I do this? And at the end of it, perhaps taking pity on me, she said, do you want me to just be your producer? And of course, I jumped at the chance to work with Tanisha again on something much more fun. No offense to Nickelodeon, but much more fun than Nickelodeon because it's ours. And so happy that you joined me, and I'm so glad that I get you on and talking, and people can hear your voice and see your face.
Well, I've been having a great time. We've talked to a lot of cool people, and so I've been enjoying this ride a lot. So I'm looking forward to more episodes.
Yeah, me too. So that's a great segue. That's actually what we're going to do today. We are going to talk about and reflect on what we've done so far with all these folks, and all the things that we've learned. So from these people, and learned about Chicago, and maybe learned about ourselves. But so one thing that we do always start with the podcast, we always start with a question. So I'm going to ask Tanisha that question. Tanisha, what do you love about Chicago?
So I want to say something that a lot of people have already said on the podcast. I love the lakefront. I love being by water. No matter what city I'm in, I'm going to go to the water. So if I'm in Toronto, even if I'm in New Orleans, I'm going to go to that dirty water. But I like that Chicago has like a lot of neighborhoods, north and south, that are next to or accessible to the lake. So I've lived in Hyde Park. I lived in Woodlawn. I currently live in Bronzeville. I always walk to the lake. And so even in the dead of winter, when I just need like some peace and just need to clear my mind, I go to the lake. And so that's my favorite part of Chicago. Like, even when I was in New York, I would just be like, I paid $500 for a studio apartment in Chicago, and I was like, lakefronts. And like, I'm paying, $2,500 in Brooklyn, and I'm like walking through rats. So So I've always appreciated just the amenity of the lake to Chicago. So that's my favorite thing.
I've never lived by the lake really, so that's very cool.
So I have to ask the question back. What is your favorite thing about Chicago?
I thought about this, and of course, I think about it every week because I'm always curious what people will say when we talk with them. But I have a funny thing that when I moved here, so I went to grad school here and then moved to New York and lived in New York for
Okay.
5 years and then came back in 2009. And one thing that and is so Chicago is that you can be walking down the street and hear house music anywhere. Like it can just pop out at you. I have this very distinct memory of when my kids were really little. Um, we live in Wicker Park, and we we were walking around and walked by St. Stan's, which is this like huge, beautiful old Catholic church, like in Wicker Park Ukrainian Village over there. And we walked by, and there was like I don't know what they were doing, like a family festival. They were doing like a little festival. So we walked by and we go in, and of course, even at the Catholic Church Festival in Chicago, there is
They're
a
playing house
DJ.
music.
Yes, playing house music. And I'm like, oh, I love this. This
House
is just
music is spiritual, so I personally like that fits. Like they're like gospel songs. So
yeah, it's just
yeah.
so Chicago. And so I like that, I certainly liked when I was younger and, going out and being able to, dance all night and dance all night to house. And there's so many good places to go do that here. But even I think it's kind of a testament to like how ingrained house music is in Chicago. But you can be anywhere and hear it, and it'll make you smile. And it can be a kids event, it can be a church event, it can be
Yes.
whatever. And
That's great.
I really love that. The other thing I really love is just kind of like the physical landscape of the city. I actually talked in our first podcast episode. I talked with a guest about this idea that, and this was also like a big contrast, I think, moving from New York back to Chicago, where there are a lot of places. I also lived in Brooklyn, but but I worked in Manhattan, and I'm, probably even more so now. But at the time, was like it kind of started to feel like a mall a little bit. Like it was just very polished, like very polished. Like it seemed in Manhattan again. New York's a huge city, but
I feel like Midtown. Are you talking about Midtown?
I'm talking about all. I mean, I'm thinking in my head right now. I have like Union Square by NYU, and just like
Oh,
everything's, or
yeah.
even like thinking about like Meatpacking District, like what it was and what it was
Yeah,
in the early
yeah,
aughts, and
yeah,
then like what it was like in the late '90s, and then what it was in the early aughts, and then what it
yeah,
is now. And it seemed harder, I think, in New York to find like physical grit, and then which makes like texture, like that makes the city interesting, like really like texture.
yeah,
And coming back to Chicago, the polish and the toniness mixed with the grit, like right next to each other. And when I say grit, I really mean like almost like industrial,
yeah, yeah,
like industrial buildings or like manufacturing, and different things like that. Like you can see that. I
yeah,
just remember taking the Chicago bus from Groupon back west, and you kind of like
yeah,
pass through this like sort of industrial area. And even now, it's like less industrial. So I don't know.
yeah.
I like that contrast a lot, and I think I think what it adds up to is just a pretty like resilient city and very resilient people.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Definitely the charm of Chicago.
Yes, I'm like I like all the manufacturing in the city.
So we both aren't from Chicago, but have been in Chicago for extended periods of times. What would you say makes Chicago different from the other places? So you spoke about the grit, but is there anything
Yeah.
else that's like Chicago-esque that stands out than the other places? Especially like you're originally from Memphis, right?
I'm originally from Memphis, and when I moved here, I moved from LA. Like when I moved here for grad school, the first time I moved here from LA, And so so to me, like I moved from Memphis, I went to college in LA, stayed in LA for a few years. So to me, like going from like Memphis to LA, like I'm like, oh, cities are big and sprawling and you drive around in them and it takes forever to get anywhere, and that's what a city is. And there's,
No.
there's no practical public transit. But then when I moved to Chicago was the first place I ever lived where I was just sort of like, oh my God, I don't have to drive a car. Oh my gosh, I can get places by taking the bus or by taking the train. And I don't know that that's different from that's not like different from New York, but that's definitely different from pretty much every other city in the U.S. And I think that like that ability to just be completely independent and have I think particularly for like a student too, like to have a like easy, cheap way to get around. I love that. I love that. I love that about Chicago. What about you, Tanisha? What makes it different to you?
So I am originally from Detroit. And I've lived in Jersey and in New York. And for a very small period, I started college. I went to FAMU in Tallahassee, Florida. And so, which is the South. And funny enough, I didn't realize it was the South because I thought of Florida and Orlando. And that was my only experience to Florida before I had gone to school down there. I think that after living in New York for 11 years, what I appreciated about Chicago once I got back is the hospitality of the people. I don't think that New Yorkers aren't friendly, because I think it's like intimidating at first, but like people are friendly, but they don't say good morning. Like you're walking down the street, you don't talk to people. I live next to people. I didn't speak to my neighbors. And it was kind of like weird if you did. And so I kind of got used to not doing that. And then when I came back to Chicago, I had to like get back to speaking to people because it wasn't normal to speak to people in New York. So I would say that what makes Chicago different is it's like it's the Midwest, but there's a lot of Southern hospitality. People are more friendly on the street. So that's what kind of stands out.
I think that's really interesting. And when you started talking about that, it made me think of something else that I really love about Chicago that's very different from LA and very different from New York. No one talks about their jobs. When you meet someone, they do not talk about what they do for a living. They
Yeah.
talk about their life. They talk
Yeah.
about what they love. They talk about music. They talk about their hobbies. They talk
That's
about their
true.
families.
That's
They don't
true.
talk about their jobs. And I think that's really great. Like you're more than your job, you're more than your career.
That
That's not your life,
is that is so true. It took a minute to like shake that off. Like especially for me, like in transitioning, a lot of my identity was tied to I went to New York for work. I didn't know a lot of people there. And so work was my identity. Not that I wanted it to be, but it just kind of was. So I agree. Like it's nice to like just be no matter what it is that you're doing. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. Is there anything that you don't like about Chicago?
So, we can edit this out later if we want, but
I'll keep it in.
there are a few things. I think when I moved from New York, when we moved back, I wasn't like 100% in. We moved back from New York, and I think that one thing I really missed coming back from New York and Chicago is, walking around downtown. In New York, like when you're going to work, you're walking to work. For like I think my last job maybe I don't know if my last job, but at some point when I was in New York, I was working in Soho. Like my office was in Soho. Like walking around, I would just see people looking amazing, wearing very cool clothes, like looking fabulous.
What you about to say?
I know. I'm sorry. But circa 2009, in the Loop, in the winter, People were not looking fabulous. Like I don't know. I just like I wanted like fashion inspiration, and I was like not coming. That's very ugly, and petty, and
I think
terrible.
you're on the wrong side of town.
Maybe, maybe. Um,
That is funny. That is funny.
maybe that was the thing I definitely missed. I think the really big thing though, like on a serious note, that I don't like about Chicago is people have mentioned this before, also on the podcast. One of our earlier guests mentioned this.
I love that despite the obvious segregation, that issue, the diversity, it's so much here. It makes me believe in the city. Like we have all the ingredients for a great, almost close to perfect city. It's just we need to learn how to put it together and come together and make it that beautiful city that's it's advertised as.
It's such a diverse city, and there's so much going on here, and you can really get out and experience other cultures, but you have to get out of where you are, meaning that it's just
Yeah.
really segregated. And
Yeah.
so that I think is, I mean, it's segregated for a bunch of different reasons, but that's really tough. And so I think seeing that, especially where I am, I have much more exposure to like what's going on the west side just because of the neighborhood I live in, and it's just completely. I was talking to someone about this last night. It's just like completely disenfranchised, and you can kind of see the path of public transit. Like I was just talking about, oh, I love public transit, it's so amazing, and like what a gift to be able to, zip around wherever you need to go for like, pretty inexpensively. But those West Side neighborhoods were just really poorly served. It's getting, I mean, like there's some developments getting better. They just put in that Damon stop maybe a year ago on the Green Line. So that's better. But like there used to be all of these stops over there, and they're not there anymore. And it devastated that neighborhood, or that like side of town. Not even that neighborhood. There are multiple neighborhoods over there, but it devastated that. And I think that I don't like. Although it feels like there are people working on making that better.
So when I moved to Brooklyn, I remember specifically like it's a spot that I don't know if it's still there, but it's a spot in Fort Greene called Moe's. Moe's is like my
Yeah.
go-to, like just it's open, go to Moe's. But it was the first time I saw like everybody just kind of together, and I'm like, this is weird. Like it felt weird, and it shouldn't feel
Yeah.
weird. But
Yeah.
it was just like I wasn't used to everybody partying together. Like, and it was a vibe, but it was like when you're not used to that.
Yes.
So I would agree, and I honestly think, and I'm not out in clubs now, I'm too old, but like from the the younger generations, the Gen Zs, I feel that there may be more mixture than it was when I was like in the club, my club days in Chicago in my 20s going to Columbia College. I feel like that was I feel like it's changed a little bit just from what I see on TikTok, but I could be wrong. I don't know what the kids are doing. I don't know.
Well, I can't tell you what the kids, I can't tell you what the 20-year-old kids are doing. I feel like when I see my kids, so they go to a school in Wicker Park, it pulls like from all over the city, and they're going to school with kids who do not look like them at all. And I would say, I mean, it is like representative in terms of racial diversity, at least, very similarly to the city. So it's like, 33% white, 33% Latino, 33% black, and like kind of, breaks down like roughly the same. Like it looks like the city. And so I don't think, at least right now, I don't know that it's like something that any of them are thinking about. Like, I don't even, it's like, oh, whatever. Like, it just seems like totally, like, oh, we're all here together, and it seems totally normal. Now, will that hold? I have no idea. Like, will
Yeah.
that hold as they become adults? I don't know. We'll see. Probably not, but maybe.
My complaints about Chicago are more superficial. LA has horrible traffic, Atlanta has horrible traffic,
Yeah.
and Chicago has horrible traffic. There's no rhyme or reason. There's like, oh, rush hour, don't get, no. It's like you get on the Kennedy, you get on the Eisenhower, the Dan Ryan, I don't even drive on. Like, the other benefit of being by the lake is I can take Lakeshore Drive everywhere I go. So there is congestion, obviously, especially up north, but south it's not as congested. So
I think mostly it's pretty good, unless there's a game.
yeah, yeah.
Unless there's
So
a
and I can get
customer.
around that, like. So yeah, I would say the traffic, and then the second, which is controversial to some, but I don't care. The pizza sucks.
Shots fired, Tanisha. That's crazy.
I'm from Detroit, so I didn't realize Detroit style pizza. I had never heard of that, but when I got here in high school, I was like, what is this? They do too much on both ends. Like, it's either the deep dish, which is like lasagna, and then the thin crust is like a cracker with cheese and sauce. I'm like, what is this? It's like Detroit has the perfect ratio of like bread, cheese, and sauce. Like, you're supposed to enjoy. And I can't have gluten now, so I can't even really enjoy it. But Detroit has the best pizza. There we go.
Wow. All right. We're going to get hate mail.
It's okay. It's all
We're
right.
going to get hate mail.
It's the pizza's not good. I don't like New York pizza either, so there's that.
Maybe you just don't like pizza.
I love pizza. I grew up loving pizza. That's why I got so upset about the pizza in Chicago. I'm like, how did you guys ruin pizza? But whatever.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It's
If you
okay.
want to send Tanisha hate mail, you can do that by emailing notesfromchicago@gmail.com. So besides having better pizza, what do you think would make Chicago better?
So I hate to keep going back to New York, but I lived there for so long. So New York had the free concerts in the park, the summer series,
Oh yeah.
all across the city, like all the boroughs.
Yeah.
And I know like Chicago does free concerts somewhere. I haven't. Well, the Taste of Chicago used to do the big concert in Grant Park, so I would go to those. But like you would have that all summer long in New York. And like these are great acts. I can't remember, like it's horrible. I can't even think of the acts that I've seen, but like I've seen a ton of people.
I think of some when I lived there.
Yeah.
They had free concerts in Central Park. They had free concerts in Prospect Park.
Yes.
I don't know if they're still free, and I think they were
They're
free.
still
but
free?
Well, they had concerts also like South Street Seaport. So they would have shows, and I think like in the summer those were free also, and they were good. They were
Yes.
good acts. Yeah.
Yeah, so if Chicago Park District, hello, a free concert series, I think that would improve. And again, this is a very superficial answer because I know that there are some real
I think
problems going
so.
on. But
Now I'm gonna speak up for the Park District.
okay,
They do have concerts in Millennium Park.
I know
summer.
it's right, but like we have
Okay. I
we
know,
have
but-
great parks, like just
Every-
like just like New York. Parks are like a great amenity in Chicago.
Yes.
So we could have like because they do movies in the park.
Yes, they do in all the parks.
Yes. So they can do concerts. It's all
Right.
about- I know it's expensive. I know it's expensive.
I don't know.
No, they have somebody has to pay those artists. So we're not paying them.
Oh yeah, that part. I'm thinking that it's like, is it expensive to get an amplifier?
Oh, it's very expensive, but that's what I would like. And so, I mean, Chicago's a great city, so if they can like give free concerts, okay. But that's my like one of my biggest. Did you answer? No, you didn't answer. Why don't you answer?
No. Do I need to? I feel like I already stepped in my controversy with the fashion comment.
Oh yeah. Okay, moving on.
Inspire me, Chicago. Wear better clothes. I do have something to say.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a way to grapple with this, but I will tell you. So I have this memory. We used to have a dog. He passed away a couple of years ago. R.I.P. But I have a memory of walking him one night getting the poop bag, going into an alley to throw it in a garbage can, opening up the garbage can, and a rat like pops out. I start screaming. People come running. They're being attacked or something. It's just a rat. It's just a rat. Can we do something about that? I mean, it is intense. And I feel like it's intense in my neighborhood and I'm in other neighborhoods. And I'm like, I don't see any rats on the street.
I think Wicker Park is more dense than a lot of other neighborhood. Not other, but it's one of the more dense neighborhoods.
And there are a lot of restaurants.
A lot of restaurants. Yeah. Because I'm like, I actually don't see as many rats as you would expect in a city like this. I actually see more bunny rabbits, and when I moved back, I'm like, I would see something furry, like, and I'm like, oh, it's a bunny rabbit, and it would make me feel so good. You don't get that in New York. You don't get bunny rabbits. You just get rats.
You don't. Now, the people who have the bunny rabbits in their neighborhood will tell you that the bunny rabbits are just as bad and destructive as the rats, but it's so much nicer to see a bunny. Yes, they're so much cuter. The rats are like, it's like the most revolting thing ever.
I think it's specific to neighborhoods because I don't see as many. I feel like I see rats maybe downtown, but I don't see as many like rats. But I hear people talking about it, but I haven't had the rat experience. I've had the bunny rabbit experience.
You're getting the ideal Chicago, like, animal, city, urban interaction. It's like, just bunnies for me. No white. Just bunnies. Just bunnies hopping around. Living in a Disney movie, Tanisha.
We asked the question, or you asked the question, what do you love about Chicago? So what has been your favorite guest response?
I really liked Laura Baginski's response. She was the co-founder, or is the co-founder of Early Birds.
I think we give fewer F's about what people think and the look that you have to have. When I come back to Chicago, I'm always kind of relieved. It's like, oh, I can be myself here. And I just love that about Chicago. I mean, we're tough people. We survive our winters, and that takes some gumption. So it's just a feeling of ease that I've always loved about Chicago.
Multiple people have mentioned the people, like multiple guests have mentioned the people, but she specifically talked about the resilience of Chicagoans. And I love that answer. And I think I feel like I'm really seeing that. We're all really seeing that come to bear, like right now in this, in this particular moment over the past few months. It's always been true, but it feels very true now. Yeah. So, I love that answer. Always, it's always the people, but I think right now it's just really, it feels like even more true.
I noticed most people said some version of the people, even when they talked about the diversity of the city, it's still the people. Yeah. And I think about other cities, if you think of like LA, Paris, New York, no one ever say the people. I really like that Chicago stands out because we have great food, we have great architecture that other cities could say the same, but I just feel like, the people answer is very unique. So I like that most of our guests talked about the people in some way because that is very specific to Chicago, that there's just some good people here.
One other thing people did mention too that I want to make sure I talk about, because I'm like, oh, I didn't talk about this before, is the restaurant scene here is world class but accessible. Like, I do really feel like it is very easy. Easy's maybe the wrong word, but like there's so many good restaurants. There's so much to choose from. It can be like a fine dining experience, or it can be, a fried shrimp shack. But there's like always, I don't know, there's always a way to like tap into really good food here at sort of all price points. And I don't know, I love that. Many people mentioned like, oh, my favorite restaurant, this is where I go. And I always love to ask people about that too, because I want to find more places to go eat.
When I was going through like the responses that everyone had, like there's a nice list of restaurants. Laura was really good. She gave some great
Yes.
responses and like recommendations. So anyone listening, please go back towards the
Yes.
end of the episode. Guests give some pretty good recommendations. So I encourage you. Do you have a favorite episode so far?
Um, Kind of tough. It's like choosing who's your favorite child? Which is your favorite? There are a few. So I really enjoyed the conversation with Mimi from Puno.
Yes.
I felt like she did such an amazing job of just encapsulating really what was happening, why it was important to people in Chicago, why it's important to everyone, like it should be important to everyone, everyone who lives in the US.
There was kids in a classroom and it was Halloween, right? Halloween season. And ice just threw tear gas. And I, read a story about a teacher who had to close the windows because the kids in class couldn't focus and couldn't learn because they started tearing. Their eyes started tearing, they started coughing because there was tear gas just deployed outside their building. And kids on Halloween, they should be celebrating. They should be being creative and celebrating this, I get to eat candy. I get to just be a kid. And instead, they're coughing and they're choking and they're tearing up because of the violation of judges' orders to not do that, right? They don't really care, and they're so lawless, and they're the real criminals. And I think that that's really important for us to remember, is that they claim to be going against violent criminals, and the data shows that the overwhelming majority of people who have been detained and deported have no criminal history. And even if they did, no human deserves to be treated like that. And that is the dehumanization that they're trying to sell to us, when really they are the criminals that are masked up, that are coming out, that are taking people, that are tear gassing kids, and just terrorizing communities. And I'm not the only one who sees that. You're not the only one who sees that. There have been so many people that have come out and have said, I want to join, I want to help, I want to be part of this movement of people that are defending their neighbors, people that are defending their communities, people that are defending themselves, because we know that we keep us safe, right? We can't trust in law enforcement to keep us safe because they're the ones terrorizing us, right? Federal agents are the ones that are terrorizing us, and this government is allowing that to happen.
I thought she just did a really wonderful job of kind of bringing that all together in a way that even for people maybe who, if there are people who haven't thought much about it, I just thought she just did an amazing job expressing that and taking listeners through that. So please listen to that, folks, if you have not. Another one of my really favorites, though, was John from Ferrara talking about.
He was great.
He was so good.
He was great.
And that was one where I'm like, this is going to be so fun going into it. I was so excited to have him on, and that we that we got him on, and it all worked out. But then the reception to it after, you never know how people are going to react. People loved it. Like people loved
the nostalgia of it all.
Yes, yeah. People really loved and responded to it, which I thought was really cool. Like I loved getting to see people, really respond to that. What about you?
I'm going to say Allison.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say it.
Read
I
it.
knew it.
Well, for two reasons. One, I love the concept of bringing together like your passion for reading, running, Chicago, and history. I'm not a runner, so like that doesn't really speak to me, but I think it's such a great idea because that's what she does. She had all this history about different areas in Chicago.
The Walgreens that's now on Armitage used to be the People's Church. It was a hub for the Young Lords, and they ran some of their community programming and activism out of there, which I think, for me, out of everything in that tour, there's other spots that we go to that were, like standoffs, I guess, between some of the people who were rehabbing Lincoln Park and the Young Lords. There are different spots on there for that. But that spot to me is like the greatest representation of like why it's important to dig into different histories. It's like you never knew that a Walgreens on where it's sitting was a church, and that church housed one of the most important community organizing groups in Chicago, and that still has a big legacy today that is totally washed out from the history of that area.
I was at that Walgreens. She talks about that used to be the church. And I'm like looking at the building and I was like, oh, yeah, would have never known. The second reason is I actually went to one of her events after the episode. She did one in Bronzeville on the book The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson, which talks about the Great Migration and Black people moving from the Jim Crow South to northern states. There's a Chicago story in that book. And so we walked or ran. I walked. And it wasn't a long run, but we went to Washington Park, and then up to Cottage Grove, and then down 47th Street. So you're passing like the Harold Washington Cultural Center, and then there's this. We stopped, or we kind of the meeting point was Sanctuary, which is I don't know how long it's been there, but it's like this cool outdoor space. They usually do like farmers markets, but they do events there. It's a nice space right off of King Drive. And we just kind of sat there and talked about the book, talked about Chicago. This was like right as what's going on right now with the Midway Blitz was going on. So it was a lot of conversation about that. And it was just like people who don't know each other, a diverse group of people. And we're just sitting there, you know, talking about Chicago and history that is history in the making now and history, you know, from then. Like, it was just like nice, and it wasn't confrontational. It wasn't like, it was just like people talking. And when you can create experiences like that for people, it's really cool. So, and she was just a great guest. Just kind of, she was passionate about it, and that came through, I think, in the episode. And so, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, she was so passionate about it, and I feel like I learned so much, but I knew you were going to say her, because if we got off that episode, you were like, this was amazing. Thank you so much. As you should have. And that also was one of the first episodes that we recorded that was not someone at least that I knew previously.
Yeah.
So pulling back the curtain, everyone. I'm friends with our first three guests. So Ben, Harper, and Caroline, I all knew. Prior to this, but that was, I think that episode made me feel like it was so good, and the conversation was so great, and she was so interesting and had so much cool stuff to say. And obviously the thing her organization is so cool, and that idea and that experience that you experienced is just so, that's just really unique. But I think it also made me feel like we can do this, and like there's value here for people, and there's value in doing this. So super. And
there's more stories like of people creating experiences, cool experiences, people in Chicago. I enjoyed that a lot. What is your biggest takeaway from some of the conversations that we've had? Like, is there a conversation with a guest that stands out?
I'm trying not to have recency bias here, so I'm thinking about all the most recent ones. Something that came through in a couple of these conversations, maybe three or four, maybe even more, people getting some inspiration in tough times. So like multiple people talked about having creative bursts during COVID, and having these creative bursts, and so starting something new, whether it was Read and Run or working on a creative project, or thinking about early birds, or I don't know, just like sort of all of these things. And I think, again, kind of going back to this idea of resilient Chicagoans, that kind of like thread, that kind of weaved, I like to have that like woven through. I love that as a theme. What about you?
There's a lot of like nuggets of history that I've taken away, especially like John's conversation about just the history of candy in Chicago. Like it was right there in front of me in terms of candy places
Yeah.
being all over the place, but it never like registered like, oh, candy was like an industry in Chicago. I didn't think about it that way, so that was like one thing like historically that I learned. All right, so the question that we ask everyone. What do you recommend people do when you come to Chicago or when they come to Chicago?
You go first.
All right, so I have a list here.
Oh my God. Okay, see, I'm not prepared. So this isn't time.
Sorry, so I'll give you some time to prepare. And I thought hard about this because I'm like, okay, do I just give restaurant recommendations? But it's a little mix of things. And there's
Okay.
one on here that everyone has said. Promontory Point in Hyde Park.
Oh, good one.
That is like my favorite place in Chicago. Favorite place. Always has been. Even like in college. Like I would go to Promontory Point all the time. It used to be like an area where it's like hip hop shows. But then when I came back, like even when I would come home for Christmas, I would like in the dead of winter go out to Promontory Point. So for anybody who doesn't know, it's like a peninsula. You can run around it, you can bike around it, you can lay out on a blanket in the middle of it and just like people watch. You can go to the beach over there, like you can have a bonfire. So that's like one of my favorite spots. The second is Virtue, which is also in Hyde Park. I've gone there for just regular dinner. I've had like done like the chef experience where somebody comes in and talks and you have wine. I've ordered food like when we didn't want to go out for New Year's Eve. We've had takeout and they have their little specials for the holidays. So one of my favorite places. I feel bad because Chris, who's on one of our episodes, mentioned like the South Side is more than Hyde Park. So that was a shot fired at me.
I need people to come and see all the beauty that is on the South Side. So come to the Roseland, come to Pullman, come to Chatham, come to Auburn Gresham, come to Inglewood, anywhere above Hyde Park. Hyde Park is not the end of the South Side. Hyde Park is the Narnia of the South. I don't even want to like skip over Hyde Park and come to the real South Side. You know, I joke about it all the time. Like that's Hyde Park. Is people say like, oh, don't go above South Loop. Then they say if you do, just go to Hyde Park and come back. Like no, come to the South Side.
He said it's like quotable, like I'm gonna make you a cross stitch. Hyde Park is Narnia, is what he said.
So I'm like, Tanisha, do better. The third is the architecture tour on the boat. I'm sure at some point, anybody who says they're coming to Chicago, they're going to tell them to take the architecture tour. But if you like to be on boats, that's me, and not spend a lot of money, it's a great boat ride on the lake that you get to go down the river. It's a really nice experience because you get to appreciate the architecture in Chicago and the history of the architecture in Chicago. The other, a famous Chicago historian, Sherman Dilla Thomas. He has a tour called Chicago Mahogany Tours. I've done the one in Bronzeville, but he does Inglewood, he does Pilsen, he does Lawndale. So if you want to like visit brown and black neighborhoods and get the history of those neighborhoods, the best tour because he's a comedian. You're also going to get a stand-up show on the bus. So I would recommend Chicago Mahogany Tours. And then my fifth, it's not a place, but it's a thing, Italian Ice.
Oh, yeah.
All summer long, like this summer was the summer of Italian Ice in my household. I don't know if there was more hot days, but I'm like, oh, let's go to, Mario's. The one I go to is Mario's in Little Italy, off of Taylor Street. And then there's one that's not in Chicago, in Elmwood Park, Johnny's. So those are my two favorite Italian ice spots.
Can you tell the difference between Johnny's and Mario's? If you're tasting the Italian ice, like, do you think there's a difference in the quality?
I don't know because I go to Mario's more than I go to Johnny's. There was just once I went to Johnny's this summer and I can't remember the difference. I feel like you still have the chunks of, well, actually, I think Johnny's only does lemon. If somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they only do lemon. There probably is a difference, but I don't know the difference.
I don't know. I'm just curious because I do wonder. I'm like, there's an Italian ice place on Western, and it always sells out. And I think they're making it fresh.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, when it's hot, if they're out, it's okay with me if I have to walk down to Division and, go get Italian ice at another place. I'm like, it's okay. That has
So
like 1,000
no,
flavors. I'm like,
no.
they're definitely not making this homemade.
So this year, my block had a block party, and there was like an Italian ice stand. So I was like, "Oh, I'll go to this little stand." And I looked at what they were giving people. I was like, I went home, got in my car, with some. So, so there is a difference in
Okay.
Italian ice.
All right. I
So
love that. Okay.
yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say. So those are my five.
Those are good. I did not make a list ahead of time, so I'm just going
Okay.
off the cuff of what I actually tell people. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Um, I do always tell people to take the boat tour. It is very cool. It's cool at night. It's cool in the afternoon. Like everything about it is cool. Do not do it in the winter. They do still run them when it's cold outside. It's incredible, and the history is incredible. Something that I think people don't know to do that I love to tell people to do that actually Allison mentioned on her episode is another way to get an inexpensive boat tour without the history, without someone narrating the history, is to hop on the water taxi downtown and then take that over to Chinatown. It will drop off. You can like hang out in the park that's right there. You can go eat. You can walk around Chinatown. Chinatown, Chicago is pretty small, um, but but it's cool. Like
They
it's
have that
very
great park.
yeah. Tom Ping Park.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right there. It's very cool, and that's like a very cool, inexpensive thing to do. And if you're a photographer, you can get amazing shots of the skyline on that. You can as well on the architecture boat tour, but for less than $10, you can be on that taxi and get like incredible shots of Chicago.
Nice.
I love to run. I always say like go run on the lake. I feel like I'm gonna get more creative in a minute, Tanisha, don't worry. But I do always say go run on the lake. It is incredible. Run north, run south. You will never run out of spots.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It is such an amenity. It's so calming. Also very easy to get there, like on public transportation, which is super nice. The restaurants here, I talked about this before, but they're really incredible. High, low, you can kind of get it all here. One of my favorite places that is teeny tiny, but I think people have probably heard about, is on Chicago Avenue. It's called Lao Pang Yo. It probably only has 10 tables in there, so kind of a pain in the booty if you want to go like on a Friday night. But if you can grab lunch, that's a really good time to go because it's not crowded. You can usually get a table, but it's dumplings. So it's all dumplings. It's really delicious. It's very cute. So if you don't have a gluten allergy, it's a great place to go. I tried to, for people watching and listening, I was like, told Tanisha, I'm like, we gotta go. Like, you gotta come. It's so good. And she's like, no. So,
I can't have gluten.
no pizza, no dumplings for Tanisha. Yeah.
Sucks.
What else do I tell people to do? Oh, the 606 is is like a repurposed rail line that runs from Ashland to, how far does that go? It goes like like 2.5 or 3 miles west of Ashland. I'm just trying to remember the street. Anyway, it runs all the way west, and it used to be like an unused rail line, and it runs along Bloomingdale before they turned it, and now it's turned into a running path. Before they turned it into a running path, people had like cut, this is my renegade past, people had like cut there's like, barbed wire fence, but people had like cut holes in it, or like, where you could go in. And so my husband and I used to go run up there like on the train tracks. So you would like see abandoned, trains up there. Like there were train cars up there, but no trains were running. Yeah, it was super cool. But now it's a proper.
It's an official. Okay.
Yeah, now it's a proper paved. It's very nice. It's super well maintained running path, which is really nice. So like, if you live in that part of town and you don't live near the lake, you instead of getting in your car to go on a run, you can just pop up there and go running, and it's really great. And like, you pass through a ton of different neighborhoods, and there are entry and exit points all along the way, and then you can just pop off and like go explore in the neighborhood. You can go, you could go get coffee, you could go get a drink, you could go, do whatever, which is really cool. I think it's like a nice little connection and connecting neighborhoods, exposing neighborhoods to one another. So, yeah.
Do you have any recommendations that were your favorite from guests?
We had a few people mention Lula Cafe, which is that's where we should go for our.
I want to go, yeah.
For our
because I still haven't gone.
Fun lunch/dinner. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
In Logan Square. And I think that the reason I like that as a recommendation is because it's been around Chicago for a long time, and they just do an amazing job. And I think it's so hard to run a restaurant. It's just a tough business. Yeah. And so you'll have, in your neighborhood or in different neighborhoods, you'll have restaurants that are hot and then around for a year or 18 months, and then it just all fizzles out because it's just hard to maintain. They've obviously, cracked the code, both on the business side, or I think so, because they're there. They've been around for so long, but also the food is excellent, the service is excellent, everything about it is just done so well. The other thing, and a few people mentioned this as well, I think David definitely mentioned it, and Anne may have also mentioned it, Open House Chicago, which is also like plays on all of the like amazing like architectural history that's going on in Chicago. Allowing people, which is a weekend or maybe even a set of weekends, allowing people to go into buildings and spaces and sometimes homes that they normally wouldn't be able to go into. I have been here all these years and I've never.
You've never.
Never done it. And when they said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And I always forget that's happening. And we've never done it, which is crazy because of, there's just, I feel like that's one of those things where like there's so many locations that are open you could go, like you could partake for years and still not, see all the spaces. But I love that. And that feels, pretty unique to Chicago.
Yeah,
just
it is.
The convergence of, the opening up the spaces, but also just the architectural history.
Allison's episode, she mentioned Old Fashioned Donuts, which I believe is in Roseland, and the Pullman National Park. Like those are things on the south side. And so I'm like, yeah, if you like parks, Tanisha, go.
Have you been to Pullman? I've
been by it, but I haven't like gone out. And I remember years ago, I did a story on Pullman, and I still haven't been. So I'm ashamed. I've been shamed into like doing more. Like I'll go south, but like it's not a recommendation, and that's the part where I'm like, there's things like to explore. So I really need to do. I need to do better. So there's that. That's my favorite.
Shame. Upon us both.
I know. What recommendations surprised you, or were there any?
I don't know if any like super surprised me. I loved that Anne talked about the sing-alongs at the Music Box. And I didn't know that she mentioned White Christmas specifically. I knew about the Sound of Music sing-alongs. They do that every year. But I didn't know about White Christmas. So I think that surprised me. I'm trying to I am like going back through in my mind. know. I don't think so. What about you? Was there anything where you're like, huh, good one?
Well, Allison's in terms of old fashioned donuts, it was just kind of shocked
Yeah.
because I'm like, people don't recommend like that far south.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard of John mentioned Uno's Pizza, back to pizza again. They do pizza making classes. And I'm like, oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's
I like when I go to other cities, like I like to do stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. Like that makes sense. Chicago's a pizza town. Not my kind of pizza town, but it's a pizza town. So Uno's, for those who care and like Uno's pizza and whatever kind of pizza they make, you could take a pizza class. I was like, oh, that's a cool thing to do in the city. So that was, I guess those were my mine too. I have one last question for you. Like, what has this experience been like? I'm assuming this is your first podcast, and I don't know,
Why? Why? Because I seem so unpolished. I'm
no,
like, I'm
I,
going to prepare a list of
no,
the top five
no, no.
places.
I mean, everybody hasn't made a podcast before, so I'm assuming this is your first podcast experience. What has it been like? Like just talking to different people who you don't know.
Yeah.
What has that been like?
I love it. I mean, I love having an excuse to ask people I don't know questions about their area of expertise. Like, I just love learning stuff, and I love meeting new people, and I love talking to people. So, for as much, the Chicago Positivity Project, my art project, our art project, for however I like refer to it, it is work. For sure. Like there is like effort to it, but every time we into conversation, I genuinely feel I get so much energy from it. So I find it to be really fun. And I think, I don't know, just getting to pull at the thread of what is Chicago, who is Chicago, what's happening in Chicago, and like take this huge city and like be able to explore it in a different way, and hopefully be able to expose other people to that. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I always walk away feeling inspired because we're talking to people who are really passionate about what they do. So whatever is on my plate that I'm like, I want to do that one day. You walk away energized to like get on it. I enjoy that aspect of it. Definitely enjoy it.
Well, that's it for us. So thanks everyone for tuning in and listening today. This is our last episode of the year, so we will be back in January with new episodes. If you are enjoying this, please subscribe, please please make comments wherever you're viewing or listening to this. And you can email us, and maybe we'll answer. No, you can email us if you have people you think we should be talking to, if you want to tell us what a great job we're doing. You can tell us. Email us at notesfromchicago@gmail.com. And thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast is edited and produced by Tanisha Blakely. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Notes from Chicago on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts.